Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends, Taking Play and Taking Long Adventures. Episode 4, Tender Trouble. There are two types of steam engines working on the island of Sodor. There are tender engines such as Hank, who are used to pull heavy goods trains along the line. Not only tender engines are used to be pulling long goods trains along the line, there are also engines who pull heavy passenger trains, such as Gordon, who pulls a heavy express down the main line. But there was also some other tender engines who are not as strong as them. But still, they are really useful. And lastly, there are tank engines such as Thomas, who are used to shunt trucks. For the other engines, although Thomas and the other tank engines are not as strong as some of the tender engines, like always, they're still really useful no matter what. One day, Gordon was in a bad mood when the other engines were getting ready to depart with their trains. "What's wrong, Gordon?" asked Thomas. "It's my brother, that is," replied Gordon. "Your brother?" asked Edward. "I didn't know you have a brother." "He sure does, Edward, and that would be the Flying Scotsman." "What's wrong with the Flying Scotsman?" asked Edward to Gordon. "He has two tenders, that is." "So what? That's the way he is." "But," he continued, "the Flying Scotsman is mostly bossy to me. It's kind of like educating Gordon Day to me when it comes to that." "How could it be?" "He tells me what to do most of the time." "Well, that's what big brothers and sisters are for," replied Edward. "They tell their younger ones what to do." "Yeah," agreed Thomas, "so the younger ones can know and learn everything." "Well, I already know and learned everything, but you'll excuse me. I have to go. The express can't be late." The guard blew his whistle, and Gordon puffed out of the station. Later that night, Gordon was still fuming about the Flying Scotsman and started complaining about him. "Keep it down, will you?" asked Percy wearily. "Don't you see we're trying to sleep here? I gotta wake up early for the mail, you know." "Sorry about this, guys," said Edward. "Gordon is cross about the Flying Scotsman just because he has two tenders." "So can you please tell him to be quiet?" asked Henry. "I can't stand this anymore." "I know how you feel, Gordon," said James, "but can't you see we're trying to rest here?" Gordon was about to say more, but he was too tired to do so. So he closed his eyes and fell fast asleep. "Finally," said James, "at last, the rest of us could sleep." And the rest of the engines fell fast asleep. The next morning, Gordon was on his way to Knapford Station to take the express. But first, Gordon had to go to the Steamworks for a very important checkup. As he came into the Steamworks, Victor and Kevin were in front of him. "Hello, my friend," said Victor. "What brings you here?" "I'm here for a very important checkup, that is," replied Gordon. "And it better be quick. The express is waiting for me at Knapford." "Not to worry, my friend," replied Victor. "I'll have you back on track in no time." So Gordon reversed onto the hoisting ramp. And he was hoisted up. Gordon closed his eyes and began to dream about having two tenders. A few minutes later, the checkup was complete. Gordon woke up. "The checkup's done, my friend," said Victor. "You're all okay." "Thank you, Victor," said Gordon. As Gordon was about to exit the Steamworks, Edward came in. He chuffed forward to where Victor is. "Hello, Edward, my friend," said Victor. "What brings you here?" "Just here for some major repairs," he replied. "My wheels are rusty." "Do not worry, Edward, my friend," replied Victor. "We will replace the rusty ones and get new ones. Gordon! What? What are you waiting for? You're going to be late. Oh, right, said Gordon, and Gordon puffed away. Then Gordon stopped at the exit as he watched Edward reversing on the engine lift. As Edward was hoisted up, then an idea flew into Gordon's funnel. He chucked forward to where Edward's tender is, and slowly and quietly buffered up behind it, and chopped away with it as fast as he could. Luckily, no one realized, as Victor and Kevin rolled away to get new wheels for Edward. Gordon had stolen Edward's tender. Gordon came into Tidman's sheds. He shunted Edward's tender on the turntable. Then he backed up to turn around. As Gordon was turned around, he coupled up to Edward's tender. Now I do look like the Flying Scotsman, he said happily, and Gordon puffed away as fast as he could towards Knapford Station. As he arrived at Knapford Station to collect his coaches, there was no one there to see him. Not even the passengers noticed as well. Gordon was very relieved. Luckily, no one's here to see me like this, he said. And he puffed out of the station. It was sunset, and Thomas, James, and Percy were at Tidman's sheds. When Henry arrived, he had news. Edward's tender is stolen, he said. Stolen? Exclaimed the engines. Who would do such a thing? Asked Percy. Then Gordon came in. Haven't you heard the news? Asked Thomas. What news? Asked Gordon. Edward's tender was stolen, James replied. Oh, that's horrible, said Gordon as he shuffled onto the turntable. Then Percy recognized something. Gordon, is that Edward's tender? No, said Gordon instantly. But it looks like it, said Thomas. I can tell, added James. So you're the one who stole it, Henry said crossly. Yes, said Gordon quietly, and because and then there was trouble. A huge gust of wind flew by, and the turntable began to move a bit. The wind was so strong that the turntable began to move by itself, taking Gordon with it. Oh, help, cried Gordon. At last, the wind stopped. Now you trapped all of us, said Thomas. And, added Percy, it'll take a while to repair as well. Don't worry, said Henry. I'll go get help. And Henry puffed away. Henry soon arrived at the breakdown train. And set to work. Then Sir Topham had arrived. He soon found out what happened. Gordon, he said sternly, you are a very naughty engine, and stealing is against the rules on my railway. But I was trying to be like my brother, sir, just because he has... No excuses, thank you, Gordon, Sir Topham had interrupted. I'm ashamed of you. And once you get repaired, Sir Topham had continued, you're going to be pulling heavy goods trains along the line until you learn your lesson. Yes, sir. Sorry, sir, said Gordon. But who will take the express then? Do not worry, Gordon, replied Sir Topham Hatt. I'll bring in 2 new engines to help out. And Sir Topham Hatt drove away. Gordon felt terrible, and he felt like he's a very silly engine indeed.